GameRant.com got the honors of revealing 8 new cards coming out in Set 5 Shimmering Skies. These 8 cards include 7 all-new Seven Dwarfs cards, as well as a new Snow White in Knight armor, which I think looks spectacular. With Snow White joining the crew, it seems like we can expect more princesses to get knighted as more sets come out. But enough of the introduction, let's talk about the new cards and discuss how this impacts their archetype. Starting with the new Snow White, this is clearly supposed to synergize with characters that have the Knight classification, which, if you didn't know, is actually a very short list. These are the only characters so far that are actually classified as a Knight. Sorry, Prince Philip, your shield and sword don't count, apparently. Snow White Fair-Hearted is a 5-cost uninkable 3/5 character with the ability Natural Leader. This character gains 1 resist for every Knight character you have in play. I really wish this were a Floodborn, as it would drop nicely onto Snow White Unexpected Houseguest, but being a 5-cost is actually pretty good. If you run it with Amber, which we will get into later, you can use Just in Time to drop it on the field as early as turn 3. Or if anything, you can drop it on turn 4 if you have Doc, leader of the Seven Dwarfs. Questing for 3 lore is really good considering how hard this card is to remove, with the exception of Medusa, of course. We don't talk about her. Starting off the new Dwarf cards is Grumpy Skeptical Knight, 3 cost 3/1 with the ability Boon of Resilience, which gives your Knight characters 2 resist when they are at a location. He also hits evasive, which is something the Seven Dwarfs were lacking a lot. Grumpy is a great card to have if you're running locations. There aren't many amazing locations in Amber or Steel, but the combination of Grumpy and Pride Rock is pretty nuts to think about. Then we have Sleepy Sluggish Knight, 2-drop 0/4 Bodyguard. He's really good in that 2-cost slot. With Snow White Unexpected Houseguest on the field, this Sleepy becomes a 1-drop and provides some value in protecting the dwarfs as they go questing. Third up is Sneezy Noisy Knight, 4-drop 3/4 character, which gives your other Knight characters Challenger +2. I don't really like this card at 4 cost, considering you only get the boost for 1 turn. This one is gonna have to fight hard to get off of the chopping block. After Sneezy comes Happy, Lively Knight, and boy am I happy to see this guy. 1-drop 2/1 that can hit evasive. I mean, is this not exactly what the Seven Dwarfs needed or what? If you have a Snow White on the field, he drops for free, and Diablo will actually have to fear going exerted against this deck because now we have not 1, but 2 cards that can hit it. Big fan of Happy. I think a lot of Steel decks could use him too, not even just the Seven Dwarfs. Unfortunately, here's Dopey. I swear, they are just pulling a prank on this guy because he's doomed to have a terrible effect and stats. 3 costs, 2/2, and all he does is deal 1 damage to chosen character. Yeah, as if you aren't already playing Steel, the color that is notorious for dealing damage quickly. Terrible card, first one to get cut, just like his brother in Amber. Now for the most interesting card, I think, Doc Bold Knight. His stats aren't that important, but his effect is wild. When you play this character, you may discard your hand to draw 2 cards. Now, I know the effect sounds scary, but keep in mind how aggressive and spammy the Seven Dwarfs are. It's very possible that by turn 5, you're completely out of cards in hand, and Doc can come in to save the day and give you a 2-card draw. I'm gonna have to test around with this card a lot, but running 1 or 2 in the deck may not be a bad idea. Lastly, and actually the best for last, is Bashful Adoring Knight. 4-drop 3/4 Bodyguard so long as you have Snow White in play, which in this deck should be very easy because Snow White Unexpected Houseguest is pretty much your bread and butter. I really wish he gave Snow White Ward. That would have been even better considering there's already a Bodyguard with Sleepy, but Bashful is still a big body on the field whose ability is almost always going to be active. Big fan of this card. Now that we've talked about all 8 new cards, how the heck are they going to be used? And as a longtime Seven Dwarfs player, I'm very excited to mash the 2 sets together and make a new monstrosity. But the main issue at hand is combating the Seven Dwarfs' biggest weakness, which is, well, they're weak. There are so many Seven Dwarfs. They take up at least half of the deck with a basic package. When you take up that much space, you don't leave much else for other engines and synergies that will be needed for the deck to be competitive. For example, currently Amber and Steel are known for their Steel Song deck. Amber has a ton of singers, Steel has a ton of songs. Mash them together, you get a crazy control deck that keeps the opponent locked down. Look at this Amber deck list and tell me, how do you fit 32 Seven Dwarf cards plus Snow White. The only option is to depend on the dwarves themselves to swarm your opponent and play aggro, but they aren't just that good at doing it on their own. At least that's my experience with them. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. This is my first Lorcana analysis video ever, so I hope it goes well. For any of you who are confused as to why Tones Blones is now making card game content, I say, look, this game has my interest right now, and it's either this or nothing. I'm just trying to make videos for fun and share some info on the game that I've been enjoying. Really looking forward to Shimmering Skies, and let me know in the comments what you think about the new Seven Dwarfs cards. Good luck in any set championships you guys have coming up this weekend.